It's the Full Force News Burst brought to you by GeneralsJoes.com with me, Diagnostic80, and a brand new guest host, roving reporter, and a guy who's been helping me source a ton of the news recently, Christopher Kelly. Yes, lots to unpack here in the first quarter 2020 earnings conference call from Hasbro, and a very interesting development in the Snake Eyes release date saga. Earlier today, we posted the results of the Hasbro Q1 2020 earnings conference call, and there were lots of details to unpack. So many, in fact, I completely missed a lot of good stuff because I was recording an Action Force watch-along, which you will be able to view on our Facebook page now, or wait for YouTube for the upload tonight. In any case, the call gave us plenty of info to discuss, including another possible release date change for Snake Eyes, although we could be dealing with a simple misunderstanding here. Either way, I am aware of the irony of our previous news burst this morning. Company CEO Brian Goldner was quoted as saying, "We are going to produce great branded content for theatres. We are going to see new Transformers movies coming. We obviously have the Snake Eyes movie coming over next year. We have My Little Pony to come." Now, in my opinion, and that is all it is, I feel as though he isn't saying that the film is moving to 2021, but that certainly could be the case, and it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility at all. And honestly, it was always something I expected to happen, especially with the recent issues surrounding COVID-19 and AMC's choice to stop showing films by Universal after an alleged comment from NBC Universal CEO Jeff Shell suggesting that they will be releasing films in both theatres and streaming in the future. I will post the link to that story in the comments for you guys to make your own minds up there. In addition to the Snake Eyes comment, it was also divulged that Hasbro are working on 21 theatrical movies for various brands, and with the recent acquisition of E1, they are currently developing animation, TV series and movies for 15 different Hasbro brands. They didn't go into any more details on that, but you can bet your butthole dollar that G.I. Joe, Transformers Mask, Micronauts, G.I. Joe Again, ROM, Visionaries and Humanoids, and the Full Force podcast are all included in that list. I'm joking, I made some of those up. But in all seriousness, Joe and Transformers will be shoo-ins. Finally, it was also discussed that products planned to release on Q3 and Q4 of 2020 will start their production in 2 weeks' time. The press were given extra notes as well that delved into details regarding the factory situation in China, manufacturing outside of China, and plans to recapture any of lost production of priority items due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I will add the link to the HISSTANK post as well if you want to get deeper into that info. Christopher, sorry that was a really long intro. Absolutely great to have you on, mate. First off, what are your thoughts regarding Brian Goldner's remarks about the Snake Eyes movie and 2021?
Well, we got to think about really what is the investor relations call, and that's really a focus on investor confidence. So he's looking to really share 4 things with the investor community. He wants to talk about supply. He wants to let you know that Hasbro plans on meeting their full year product demands. They want to know that they're doing a lot for the community, and ultimately he's talking about this is a fluid changing situation right now, and I think what's happening behind closed doors is they're having these conversations about, hey, what does it look like from a financial perspective if we do move the date? But they're not going to do that yet. It's still a little too early. I think if we did see any change, maybe it would happen, towards later in the summer. They don't want to pull the trigger too soon and say, hey, let's move the date already. Because, hey, things could get better. Yeah. And they, it could be still a good opportunity for them, especially if they're like the first big movie to hit after we get through this pandemic. Yeah. There could be a lot of people that are tired of being cooped up inside and they want to get to the theater and they want to, see a blockbuster movie. And this may be a great opportunity for them, which is why I don't think they're closing the door yet. But if you really look through a lot of what the main focus was, it was showing that Hasbro is going to weather the storm of the COVID-19 virus and, that they are going to be well positioned to react, depending on what happens.
I've actually been surprised at how well they've dealt with the situation already, because I was fully expecting that every single company, business, etc. would just be hammered so hard by this, and yet what it seemed to do for Hasbro was almost I don't want to say kind of aid in their kind of business situation, but it certainly didn't hinder them as much as I thought it was going to.
I agree. I mean, thinking back to Toy Fair, and some of the other product lines, like on the Transformers product line, where we would typically see some new releases come in early June. they started saying, hey, this could be August or September. So we started seeing like a 60 to 90 day slide. But I think a lot of that is because of when the issues in China took place. They took place during the Chinese New Year. So we didn't have as much of a direct result on their manufacturing.
Yeah.
But, this is a fluid situation. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, totally. And again, like, it almost felt like everyone was kind of pumping money into these little things. They still had like the option to do so, and Hasbro was definitely an open door for that kind of I suppose capital to be spent on, and like, obviously their games manufacturing went skyrocketed. I thought they jumped on. What I thought they did really well with was the whole initiative to, bring it home kind of thing, stay at home and play at home and all that kind of stuff that they were doing, and all those different initiatives they were involved with. I think they came out looking really good as a company as well, and really a lot of positives could be taken from that, especially when they've been probably hit with a lot of negativity, a lot down to their own kind of fault, but like, kind of things like fraud investigations and also, and layoffs and all sorts of things like that. And then I think there's been a lot of focus on trying to repair a lot of that, and I think a lot of that has kind of happened over the last, and also paying their employees still to this point went a long way to that, to kind of do that, to give you a bit more confidence about them as a company.
Yes. No, I completely agree. I mean, one of the big things Brian Goldner was focusing on was his liquidity, right? I mean, they have substantial liquidity and access to cash. They want the investors and they want their customers to know that they're going to be around for a long time. They want them to know that they're planning ahead. I think Hasbro is actually in a very good position. If you look at their balance sheet, I mean, they're a very strong company. As a collector, we just want to get that product in our hands as fast as we can.
Yeah.
And any talk about a move of a Snake Eyes movie, from a Joe perspective, you start thinking, oh, does that mean extra waves of product? Does that mean maybe we can get some extra, especially if you think about what the Joe brand has gone through with all the other theatrical releases. It's like, you almost assume there's going to be a delay just because it's the Joe movie.
I mean, it can't be as bad as there was the 9-month delay that we were hit with was it Retaliation? There was a big one, wasn't there, where
Retaliation.
With the 3D, they wanted to do the 3D thing, but then also it was clashing with other movies. But the fact that the product was out and they had to pull it back in and it was all over the place and a mess, they definitely need to make sure they're hitting the right points this time, don't they?
Totally agree. No, I totally agree. I think they're playing this one close to the chest, and hopefully we'll learn a little bit more as we go through the summer. Absolutely.
Well, Christopher, dude, thank you so much for jumping on and chatting with me about this, again, constant updating kind of scenario with Hasbro. So thank you for jumping on and chatting with me about that. It's been great having you on, mate.
Oh, happy to be on. Thanks for having me, Chris.
That's it for this installment of the Full Force News Burst. Thank you to my awesome co-host, Christopher Kelly. See you next time, and as always, Full Force. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @The Full Force, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/The Full Force, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback or questions. We have also started a Patreon page, so if you want to see your name up in lights on these videos or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.